It's time for another episode of that LSE. Enjoy it. But before you do, check you're subscribed if you think you are. Double check if you're not, why ever not. Hit the dingy bell, comment down below. All these things, they're helping the channel to grow, which is what I want, what you want. The channel grows, I'm more motivated to provide more content like this. If you want to contact me, it's churchhouseclassics, that's all one word, @gmail.com. And if you want to support the channel, which I really appreciate every donation, then there's a PayPal me link scrolling down here. Enjoy the feature. Well, there's a curveball. Hockey sticks are off. The customer asked me if, because he included a box with all of the polybushes and so forth in it, if I wouldn't mind doing hockey sticks. And while we've got the swivel off, access to the two bolts is dead easy. Make sure the thing is supported properly. The chassis and the axle need supporting. So you really want the kind of the chassis taking the majority of the weight and the axle just being located using a stand. I'm only doing one side at the time, so I'm rather hoping that nothing's really going to move around. Now I need to get the old bushes out. These are original metallastic bushes. They're not in bad shape, but we're going to replace them. So all I really do here, using one of my sacrificial drills, there it goes. Right, now it's gone through, start to withdraw, and the bush comes out. Now, noisy, there we are, it's out. Right, okay, so that's how easy the bush is, the outer, or the inner section with the rubber of the bush is to get out. Now, there is still a metal sleeve on the edge here, but generally, having got this far now, the rest of it is a piece of piss. So there we are, an old, dead, 4.5mm drill bit. And that's all I needed to get the bush out. That's how I do them. I don't really push them out with a 20-ton press anymore because it's too much bloody aggravation supporting everything. And I can do this here on an old North Somerset Council green wheelie bin. And I'm 90% of the way there. So I'm going to cut through, you can just about see the ring here. Cut through the ring, drive it in with a punch, and it will come out. And then I can push the new bushes in and relocate it. I've got new bolt kits coming. I thought I had bolts and everything, but evidently not. So the bolts are going to have to just go back in to locate things. And then when the new bolts arrive in a day or two's time, I'll be able to fix everything back up again. But once it's located and I've got the nut back in place, there should be no real issues. You twat. You absolute tool. There we are, there's a dead 4.5mm drill bit there, which has done sterling service. And dropped my nice DeWalt drill as well. I need to get the remains of the rubber bush off there as well. What a tit. Just popping the bolts back in on the front radius arms, the hockey sticks. And I bought this kit here. FAmousFour put these together. So it's their part number FF000978, and it comes with 4 of these bolts, which are 10 centimetres long. Absolutely perfect for a normal Range Rover, but not for an air suspension Range Rover. And I've just been on the phone to them, notified them of this. Now the problem is that the forward bolt on the radius arm, so the chassis extension with the forward damper, this is only on EAS models. You've got this big extra washer, which you don't have on the rearmost. So if I put a standard bolt in here, there's barely enough thread. Oh, there's certainly not enough thread for the nylock on the nut to catch it. So that's something you just need to keep in mind, really, more than anything else. So I've managed to, I've let them know first and foremost that they need to kind of have a different kit, I guess, one for EAS, one for standard suspension. And the EAS needs to have 2 10cm bolts for the back end and 2 11cm bolts for the front end. And then that kit will be perfect. So when you find faults like this, because shit happens, you just need to kind of like, you know, play nicely, notify the supplier. In this particular occasion, I'm able to get round this by reusing the old bolt. I'll just lube it up and put it back in again, and I've got a brand spanking new nylock to go on it. But yeah, I thought I'd let you know that, because you folk do like to know when I get challenges. Now, because I've got the old bolts in there, all I really do is lube up the new bolt, put it on the end here, and then bang it through. I can't do it because I haven't got the tripod out here, and I just want to get on with this now. But yeah, once the bolts are in, the nylocks can go on. I can do them up nice and tight. Then the swivels can go on. New CV joints can go back in. We can get this car back together again. Pushed in new bearing seats. These aren't difficult to do, really not difficult. Brand new Timken bearings. Customer supplied those. So packing them out with grease, and they're ready to go on. And as far as the hub and stub axle is concerned, that's all back in place now. Brand spanking new galvanised splash plate, the mud guard, and I've pushed the new ABS sensor in as well, which is kind of the end of it is dangling over there in the grey box. So once the stub axle's back on, then I should be able to get the caliper back on, brakes back in again, and we're almost done on this side. Well, we're still going to do the air suspension, but we're almost done on this side. Having a day outside rather than welding today, there'll be a bit of continuity going on between the two series, as I'm sure. But we've got a Plymouth Blue inside, Plymouth Blue outside, and another Plymouth Blue inside. So yeah, there's going to be some continuity. Can't help that. Just put this all back together again, and I was just doing the bearing, and I thought, oh, I'll nip up the nut that holds the U-clamp of the backplate to the bump stop pin. Yeah, the clamp's broken off. Gotta be fucking shitting me, you bastard. So it's all going to come apart again. Love this fucking job sometimes, I really do. Anyway, we are where we are. So undo the nut, take the disc and the hub off, take the backplate off, weld the fucking thing together, put it back together. Okay, putting the driver's right hand side back together again. So new CV joints gone in, old drive shaft, new gaskets, new sweep seal, a new swivel ball. Now when you put it all back together again, if you're finding you're not getting the full articulation of the axle, you need to pull the drive shaft out. You get that much movement in the drive shaft. It needs to be fully out. If it's fully in, then you only get half of the movement on the axle. So it needs to be fully out, and then you get the full articulation. And that's why you shim this end up, to make sure that that doesn't happen moving forwards. It's just a preload. It's all in the manual, nothing particularly nasty there. So then, mindful of the disaster with the other side with the bloody brake shield, I put the brake shield on this side. So I've lined everything up, got it all roughly into place. Was doing the nut up on the bottom. I thought, oh, I just need to move it a tiny bit. And look. So I don't know which monkey is spot welding this on at whichever plant Brit Part are using for these particular items, but they might want to turn the current up, because that's a fucking pain in the arse. So what we're faced with now is a nice galvanised brake backplate that I need to weld. And by welding it, I'm then going to destroy the galvanisation. So what is the fucking point? And there is just one spot weld on there, and it just went bing. There it is. You can just about see it in the back there. The tip of my finger. Piece of shit. I love this stuff, I really do. Yes, and you moan about it, and you know, so no one else has had this problem. Yeah, well, I've had it twice now. And as you can see, the nut isn't even up there yet. I've not even put the nut on there yet. And it was just the process of manoeuvring it into position, getting the bolt at the bottom lined up with the tab at the top. And you can see there's nothing particularly under any great strain there. And ding! Off it comes. Well, that's going to happen tomorrow now, because I've had enough. Pain in the bollocks. Welded up that pesky back plate. sprayed some zinc paint over the top of it. It's the best I can do. I can't re-galvanise it. I haven't got the mechanisms to do that. And then refisted all the hub and everything. That's all done. You notice how much stiffer the hub is now compared to when I first disassembled it. On this side was actually worse because it wasn't all rusted up. And you remember, it wouldn't actually, if I put it there, it would fall around to that side. So that's good. Happy enough with those now. Still need to put oil in them. Then I thought, let's get the steering box off. Now, steering box on these, going down to the floor, it's that ugly bastard there. And in order to get it off, and I know in order to get it off, you really need to take the oil filter off. But then, of course, this has got the oil cooler on it, so you need to take the oil cooler off as well. And the oil cooler was loose. It's not going to help, is it, folks? Now, the customer did say there was an oil leak under here, but there's more oil around the front here than anywhere else. Certainly oil on the bottom of the hose here. That, to me, looks like the hose is leaking. And that's one of the automatic gearbox hoses. Automatic gearbox cooler, which sits behind the grill up here. That's one of the hoses that feeds that. Now there's sort of silicon shit and stuff all over the place down here. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, so we take off the cooler pipes. That's one, and there's the other just above it. Take off the temperature, sorry, the oil pressure sensor, because that will be in the way. 2 clips on the forward cross member just hold the power steering pipes in place. You really need to undo those, purely because getting one of the pipes out of the top of the box is a bastard otherwise. Now, I've also then noticed, I wonder if the cooling hose is going to get in the way here. It hasn't done in the past, I'll be honest. And it could well be that in the past, 'cause it's been a while since I've done one of these, once the bolts are undone on the other side of the chassis rail, I move the box that way and then pivot it out. They are heavy, but you can do it. So, I think next step is I'm going to undo the 4 bolts. And the other thing about this, because this has got the air suspension damper, I have to get the air suspension damper out. These are the 4 bolts up here. Now there's also a brace that goes from the panhard rod mounting. This is the panhard rod mounting. That's the panhard rod to the steering box. Now this brace here is more for the panhard rod than it is for the steering box. It really helps the articulation of the axle by bracing this. It's interesting. Hard against a fixed point, which is the steering box. But it needs to come off and out of the way in order that it can come off. So I am going to not video this, because otherwise I get distracted. And I can't earn money because I'm being distracted. Now, what size are these bolts? Yes, they were 3/4. And the Duggan gun made light work of the 4 bolts. Now, don't take all of the bolts out. I just left the last one roughly in place because the suspension turret is also supported by it. And then there's enough give in the hose just about for me to be able to manoeuvre the box down and past it, which is excellent. Right, now, next I need to get this off. And there's all sorts of people out there, all sorts of suggestions from people out there about you need to use dynamite, you need to use this, you need to use that, you need to use the other. But realistically, what you need is a Pitman arm puller. And I have got one. I've got a rather beautiful one, actually, that was donated to me a few years ago. Check out that bastard. That'll do it. That sort of size Pitman arm puller is just not big enough. They're not man enough for the job. How about this? I'll put some load on it. I'll give it a hearty good tap and it will come off in my hand. Right, I'm going to rest that on the welder. So later on when I'm shouting about who's robbed my Pitman arm puller, I'll look at the footage and I'll say, oh, there it is. It's on me welder. Right, okay, let's get the box out. And I'm going to get that off. And it's off. So, yeah, you have to rotate the arm around a little bit because you can't get the puller on in all of the locations because this gets in the way. So you need to find a way of getting the puller onto the arm and then nut back on, load the bolt up, give the arm a fair tap, on each side, tighten it up a bit more, tighten it up a bit more, tighten it up a bit more, and off it comes. A nut can come off. Big nut, by the way, it's 34mm. It's probably got a nice imperial size to it, but for the purposes of getting it off, 34mm, that's off. Lovely jubbly. Right, I need to empty all the oil out of that because that's going back. You can see a fair amount of crap, but that is beautiful. Just beautiful. Thank you, Churchill. Tighten both socket screws before. Yes, it's all adjusted to do Range Rover steering boxes, so I don't tend to adjust it in between jobs. I can go back on the shelf. Thank you. Go back up there in the Pitman arm puller section. Right, I think we're more or less, we are where I wanted to be today. Box off. Not too much mess either. Which is great news. Right, the steering box is back on, which is good, not difficult. You have to work from under here, push the box up, sit it on top of the chassis rail, and then while you're holding it roughly in position, position the bolt, one bolt through, and then you can get the rest of the bolts in. Again, you can't put it in with anything like the oil system or the temperature sensor I take out, because otherwise I have knocked them off in the past, and for the sake of just undoing it, I'm happy enough with that. Right, okay, so next thing I need to do on this is bolt this brace bar back up, which is going to be the next job I'm going to do. And then I can put the lines, can go back. Should we get the tripod? It might be a bit easier, I don't know. Are you going to stand like that? No, you're not. Let's go and get the tripod. I think you can see what's going on. Right, so once this has gone back on, then I can pop the damper can go back in, the power steering hoses can go back on. Quite a lot of faffing and kind of farting around doing odds and sods. Now, I think I've mentioned it before, but this thing flops around like a dick in a bucket. Don't worry about it, it's supposed to. The nut holds it steady. The trick is to get the bracket bolted up to the steering box, and once it's on the steering box, then you can adjust this. I think what we'll do next, you can see the amount of bounce we've got without a damper on this. This car is going back to air suspension, but not just yet. Now, next thing I need to do is I've got to get down here and put the pipes back into the top of the box. Probably don't really need to video it because it's going to be a load of swearing that I need to get rid of. People tell me I swear too much, and then they moan there's not enough swearing in the videos. I think suffice to say the swearing in the videos is what's preventing the overall promotion of my channel by the hosts. I don't know. Do I stop swearing? No. Do I swear generally? No. Have I sworn in this video yet? Probably. Right, I'm going to get on with this because otherwise I'm going to be here all day messing around with this. These two hoses need to go back on, and then I can fix them back onto the front of the chassis. Right, and they're on, and you can't really see them, and I'll tell you what, that is pretty much the access that you get here. Now the high pressure pipe, which is the one at the front here, that needs to go on first, and it is a bastard because it's a rigid pipe, and it's rigid all the way down to the front cross member, so you have to faff around with that to get that to actually line up. But yeah, it's gone on. I'm happy enough with that, and then the low pressure line follows. Then I've tightened up the two clamps on the front cross member, and I started looking at the adapter for the oil cooler, and it suddenly dawned on me. There's a seal on it. These things don't normally come off, you see. But because this was loose, I took it off. And there's a hulking great seal on the inside here. and it is, I reckon, ancient. So I'm going to replace that. I need to find out what the part number is and get that sorted out. And then the other thing I wanted to do before I went absolutely nuts on putting this thing back together again, I just wanted to double check on the oil pressure, because we've got a problem with a tapping hydraulic tappet. Putting stuff away here, folks, with a tapping tappet. And I don't know if it's cheap tappets were put into the engine when it was rebuilt as part of the warranty warranty issue, or whether it's got the wrong spec oil in it, or it's got old oil in it. So I'm going to start with oil pressure, change the oil and filter, see if that improves the situation. If it doesn't, then consult with the customer, maybe inlet manifold out, and see if we can get some better hydraulic tappets in there. My old dash, spoiler. Right, after a lot of faffing around, I got my oil pressure gauge hooked up to the back of the pump. Now, the oil cooler pipes on this make it almost impossible for me to connect this gauge up to the pump body. So what I've done is I've deleted the oil cooler and just screwed the oil filter straight back onto the housing. Now, let's see if we can't get an oil pressure reading. No leaking. 25. And the tappets are a shitload quieter than they were yesterday. I don't know what you can say about that, really. There is definitely a tappet out. But we've got 30 psi now. I mean, as the tappets all fill up, then what will then happen is it will slowly increase the pressure so we can get the pressure gauge there. Doesn't go above 30 psi then, does it? I'd expect that to want to go above 30 psi. There's no oil pressure, there's no oil pressure, I would say. Might leave this until tomorrow when I can leave it till tomorrow when I can, because it's 6:30 now. I just wanted to really check that we were getting oil pressure, and we are. But I would expect on a rebuilt engine for that oil pressure to be a bit higher than that. Now it could well be, oh, there is a slight oil leak down there, but nothing serious. Oh no, it's dripping off the oil cooler pipe, don't worry about that. It could well be that the hydraulic tappet is so shagged out, the oil is just escaping through the top of the hydraulic tappet, and then that's knocked the oil pressure out. But 25 to 30 psi, I'd expect more on a rebuilt 4.2. So investigations are ongoing. So I'll let it warm up a little bit more, and we can see the oil pressure gauge through the window there. So about 25, and when we go 2000 RPM, it gets 35 psi at 2000 RPM. That's, but then it's gone quiet now, you see. Now that was clacking away like I don't know what yesterday. Oh, I might just double check the oil, find out what oil we've got in there. Maybe change the oil. Let's see what sort of viscosity we've got on the oil. I can't really tell too much from the dipstick. Well, it looks like oil, but it's quite thin oil. Have changed the oil and the filter. Let's see if it's stopped on the rattling now. I did video a whole ton of this and then lost it. So, still quite rusty, isn't it? I heard less rattly V8s. It's improving. I think the problem is that the oil is draining down from these tappets. It's noisier on this side than it is the other. I'm going to let it warm up for a minute. Right, as it's warming up, it is actually starting to quieten down. But I can tell you now, using my automotive stethoscope, or it's easy for me to say, one of these chappies, get one of those, they're ever so cheap. I can tell you that every single one of the tappets on this side, every single one of those 8 tappets on this side is loud. And on this side, there's one at the front that's making more noise than the rest of them. I think what I might do, and it's a bit of guesswork here, but without taking the whole bloody thing apart to do the tappet preloads, I might try the thinnest shim underneath the rocker pedestal and see if that quietens it down. Because it's one of those things that the tappets are draining down, which is disappointing, but it just seems to happen with modern tappets. So the tappets are draining down, so when you do a cold start, it just gets really noisy. But this is taking longer than usual to quieten down. You can hear it, it is clacking away on this side. I mean, the problem is, if the tappet clearances are runs sweetly enough, but oh look, almost gone quiet now. Just a moment then. Quietening down. Still not perfect. And then come around this side and I can hear one. I can hear it, it's around here somewhere, clacking away. Now, you need to be careful that you're not picking up an blown exhaust gasket noise. So when I'm checking the tappets, I tend to check on the inside of the valley and not the outside, because you can pick up a tapping exhaust from out here quite easily. Let's get my stethoscope on. Right, see if this one up here has gone any quieter. This one here is quiet now. Quiet. There's one there that's a little bit noisy, but nothing too bad. Smooth, smooth, smooth. Oh. They're all smooth at the back there. It's difficult to get in. There's one there that's noisy. One that's noisy. So I've got 2 tappets on that side that are noisy. And on this side, I can hear it ticking, but it was deafening before. There's noisy one. Quiet, 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 and noisy. So I'm wondering, perhaps just let the damn thing warm up. Let the new oil circulate round all of the tappets. I mean, it sounds great now. Look, not a tap there. But I don't want it like that. And that's now warmed up to temperature now. Now, listen, all those taps have just gone away. And that is now sweet. I wonder if it's just old oil in the hydraulic tappets that took its time to work its way through. Now it's a tappet coming back on this side. Hear it? I bet you it's that one at the back there. Sounds like it. Weird. And a few minutes later, still just about hear this one at the back here. I wonder if it's a preload issue. Just wondering. Temperature's normal. Heater's working nicely. I'm just wondering if it is a preload issue. I need to have a think. I need to have a think. What I don't really want to be doing is pulling this engine apart that's been kind of built as part of a warranty claim. I don't know much about it. I do know that when I first started looking at this car, the throttle position sensor was dead, the distributor was cheap, nasty fucking Chinese shite, and the airflow meter was suspect. So changed the distributor for a 35 DLM8 body, which I then had rebuilt to a 4.2 Rover V8 specification by distributor doctor, fitted a Petronix igniter and a flamethrower coil, changed the throttle position sensor for one that works, and that has made all the difference to the running of the engine, but that tappet is noisy.